training covers substantially different matters. And that would even be more the case if the scope of activities is very different. So if you come from a member state where the profession has a narrow scope of activity, of course you are going to be trained for this narrow scope of activity. And if the same profession in another member state has a much wider scope of activity, then of course you are not trained for all these supplementary activities. And then it's obvious that you are missing substantial subjects that you have not been trained for, and therefore the directive recognizes that you can be asked to compensate for that. When making this comparison, host member states but not only look at diplomas, they also have to take the professional experience into account, and they will have to leave a choice to the migrant between two types of measures, unless there is a derogation and the Commission is the one who grants derogation upon request, for member states not to leave the choice when it's obvious that only one of the measures is fit for the purpose. Two types of compensatory measures: adaptation periods. So it's a supervised practice which is going to be undertaken under responsibility of a qualified professional. You can even have further training in this adaptation period, and it shall be subject to an assessment at the end of the period. So I would say this is quite far-reaching, and it's not in the slide, but in fact it can go up to 3 years duration, which means that it is kind of a massive weapon, I would say, to use for member states, because you can both train the person, test the person, and have it done by a qualified professional. An aptitude test is there in order to test the knowledge of the person on the subject that this person has not been trained for. Of course, it has to be a test which is not a test that you would have at university if you would follow the training of the host member state. I mean, this is of a different nature. This has to be a professional test, but of course this can also be quite far-reaching, and this is the preferred compensatory measure for certain professions, especially in the legal field. I would say that for engineering we can see that both compensatory measures are fit for the purpose. How does it function in practice? I would refer you to our website, which is containing a database where you can find information, statistics about the recognition process, and you would see there that it functions pretty well in terms of positive decision of recognition. This is the vast majority, more than 80% of the decisions taken are positive. And there are even situations where this is positive without any compensatory measures, which means that, of course, there are gaps, there are differences, but it's not such that it makes it extremely difficult to bridge between different systems. So it's worthwhile from time to time to look into that, because also we're in the course of reshuffling completely the database. And we are pretty confident that member states will be more serious about using it and giving us their input, in particular in terms of statistics. Common platforms. So that is a feature which is in the general system. So it has been proposed in order to try to alleviate the burden of this assessment, which is made on a case-by-case basis. So obviously, the general system functions on the basis of what the migrants has had as a qualification, including professional experience. So each time somebody comes as a competent authority, you have to define on a case-by-case basis a kind of tailor-made compensatory measure if needed. So here the idea was, why don't we try to kind of imagine a predefined set of compensatory measures that would be necessary and sufficient for a migrant coming from the member states who would have the training requirements, I would say, at the lowest level, to go to the member states having the requirement at the highest level. So it would be a kind of pre-cooked, if I can call it like that, pre-cooked compensatory measure that the migrant could fulfill.
Ir a cualquier Estado miembro, incluyendo los más exigentes, sin que estos Estados miembros ya puedan pedir ningún otro tipo de medida compensatoria. El efecto sería que los Estados miembros tendrían que renunciar al derecho a poder pedir más medidas compensatorias. Con el fin de lograrlo, esto tiene que haber una regulación. No se puede renunciar a este derecho de los Estados miembros si no podemos hacerlo de esta forma. Por lo tanto, de acuerdo con el legislador, el Parlamento y el Consejo han dado esta tarea a la Comisión. Esta tarea implica que hay que comparar todos los requisitos que tienen los Estados miembros. Todos los Estados miembros que regulan tienen que ser comparados en cuanto a cuáles son sus requerimientos, y también tiene que abarcar la formación que existe en los miembros que no regulan, para que todo esto sea completo, porque estas personas también tienen el derecho de emigrar a otros países. Es una gran empresa, un gran esfuerzo en simplemente establecer la semilla de cuáles son los requerimientos para una profesión y cuáles son lo que ofrecen los países que no regulan. También se ha propuesto en el texto que esto tiene que estudiarse por parte de las organizaciones profesionales en sí, que están representadas a nivel nacional y europeo. ¿Y esto qué quiere decir? Bueno, quiere decir que estas organizaciones tienen que, en primer lugar, a nivel nacional, tienen que representar a la profesión, tienen que ser representantes de los profesionales a nivel nacional, y que la organización a nivel europeo tiene que componerse de organizaciones que están representadas a nivel nacional. Por lo tanto, que nosotros estemos seguros, o que nos garanticemos que la profesión hable con una sola voz. Ha habido ya trabajo realizado para ingenieros por FEANI sobre este tema de plataformas comunes. Hubo un problema particular ahí, y es que, como ya dije al comienzo, la ingeniería no es una profesión. La ingeniería tiene ramas y, por supuesto, hay diferencias de actividades entre estas ramas. Los ingenieros de caminos o de tecnología de telecomunicaciones, es imposible en cuanto a nivel de regulación también el poner todo en una misma cesta y decir vamos a tener una plataforma común para todo tipo de ramas de la ingeniería. Por otra parte, el problema principal con el trabajo que FEANI empezó, teníamos la opinión que probablemente la mejor rama para trabajar con ella serían los ingenieros de caminos y puertos.